So for the last few months, we've been under the assumption the next Apple Watch Ultra is going to be a very minor refresh most of us could easily skip, but it seems Timothy has something under his wonderful sleeves that of course has now been revealed in leaks because everything gets leaked nowadays. And so yeah, let's delve into it. For those who have not been following the rumors, we've literally heard nothing regarding the 2nd Gen Ultra till now. Mr. Obvious, also known as Mark Gurman, did tell us a new one is in the works because Apple developing a new version of an existing product is clearly unheard of, but as usual he did not tell us anything regarding the upgrades we could get. And by the way, would like to remind you guys, like this video and subscribe for more content like this, it would be appreciated. And so I was under the assumption the whole reason this refresh was in the works was because we were getting the S9 in the Apple Watch Series 9. For those not aware, Apple's actually kind of been scamming us for the last few years because the Series 6, 7 and 8 all just have the same chips. Apple just puts a new sticker on it and calls it brand new for marketing reasons, but the S7 and the S8 are actually on par with the S6 from 3 years ago. Now to be fair, you don't really need chip upgrades on a watch considering you're not going to be playing Genshin Impact on this, but nevertheless, it's nice Apple's finally giving us a performance upgrades with the S9. This should be on par with the A15, which is a nice improvement over the A13 based S6, S7 and S8. Anyways, it would be weird if the highest end watch Apple sells also does not get this, and so I thought Apple would chuck the S9 in the Ultra, give it a fancy new color for the marketing images that would get all the sheep tingling and call it a day. But surprisingly, Tim's not ending there because he has one more change planned for this year's watch. So we hear from a mysterious source called Instant Digital that the new Ultra could weigh less, which, you know what, I'm actually quite glad about because it's crucial a wearable is light so that it does not become cumbersome to wear, and so if they actually reduce the weight, that would benefit all consumers, especially those who do extreme sports with the Ultra, aka the target demographic for this. Now this source seems to be following in Gurman's footsteps in that they give us no specific details regarding how Apple's going to reduce the weight, and so yeah, we're left to theorize. Now I don't think Apple's going to change the material because Apple's already using titanium, which is a light material as is. So what kind of magic is Apple using here? Well, thankfully Min-Chiu Kuo may have revealed Apple's special techniques, and that's 3D printed mechanical parts. So that should be things like the digital crown, side button and the action button on the watch. Now to be fair, Kuo does not say anything regarding this reducing the weight. He instead says this will improve the production time and also will reduce the cost of building these watches, which I'm sure is gonna make Tim very giddy as he wants to increase those juicy profit margins. But maybe as a side effect to using this technique, it does also help reduce the weight. And so yeah, this is pretty good news, guys. I am glad Apple's giving us lighter watches. Now, does this change my perspective on this refresh? Well, not really, to be honest. As I said, a lighter body does benefit consumers and that's great and all, but this is still a pretty minor refresh, and the lighter body and a slightly better chip is not enough of a reason to get this over a discounted Gen 1 Apple Watch Ultra. Also consider that resale value on watches absolutely sucks. Every second they lose $100 of their value, it's absolutely insane. And so while that sucks for those buying these watches at retail price, it's great news for cheapskates like myself because I'm sure once a Gen 2 Ultra launches, the OG Ultra could be sub $500, which is an absolutely insane deal, and I might buy one, even though I've never done any extreme sports, but still, I want the Ultra to be cool. Now I know someone in the comments is going to say, what about the support though, man? How could you forget about that? And yeah, that is a valid point. You could also possibly get better battery life if the S9 ends up being a lot more efficient. But at most, guys, if there's not a bigger battery inside, it's going to be 1 hour better because of the chip. And to be honest, the OG Ultra is not losing support anytime soon. So yes, I still highly recommend going for last year's watch. I know that's gonna piss off Timothy, but guys, don't be hypnotized by the fancy new color that's gonna get you tingling everywhere, because it's not worth it, guys. Resist the temptation. Go for the older Ultra instead. Another big reason why you should go for the older Ultra is because you're better off saving up for the major micro LED upgrades in the near future. So yes, for those not aware, micro LED is going to be an upgrade in every minute aspect of the display. It's going to give us higher brightness, lower power consumption, there's less risk of burn-in, which is important since Apple Watches offer always-on displays, and also we get better contrast ratios and faster response times because of something fancy called pixel level individual lights. I don't know what exactly that is, but it sounds pretty cool. And so yes, all of this means you can see your notifications slightly better when outdoors. Nice. Jokes aside, this actually is a pretty nice upgrade that would make the new watch absolutely worth it over its predecessors. The only problem right now is that, as we usually see in the water leaks, we keep hearing about it getting pushed back again and again and again and again. I mean, display guru Ross Young said we could expect a 2024 release, which I was very happy about, but then he was like, no, I'm sorry, that's not happening. It's second half of 2025 now, there's manufacturing issues, and I was like, okay, fine, that's all good. But now we have TrendForce coming in, telling us there's been another delay, because guess what? More manufacturing issues have suddenly appeared. That's just great. And so that means we're now expecting a 2026 release, which I know is 3 long years away, but apparently as it stands, these displays are too expensive to produce, and so Apple and their suppliers need to bring down the cost of producing these panels before beginning mass production. I still think the wait will be worth it though, because if you think about it, the display is the most crucial part of any device, and so with a major upgrade like this, I'll gladly skip out on the minor refreshes and just splurge on the big daddy of upgrades in the near future. Also remember, the original Ultra should be supported for years to come, considering the Series 4 that came out all the way in the pre-COVID era of 2018 is still supported. And so yes guys, my advice remains the same. Don't buy the 2nd Gen Ultra. I don't want to see any of you guys with that new watch. Get a discounted Gen 1 Ultra for less, and by the time you would have to upgrade, Apple should hopefully have this fancy micro LED Ultra that's going to be ready to buy, that also, thinking about it, is probably going to come with a price increase, but hey guys, the display should justify the asking price. And actually, according to TrendForce, the current micro LED panels being internally tested looks like the content is painted on top of the glass. That sounds pretty cool, I can't lie. So yes, I am very hyped about these micro LED panels, and of course do remember, much like OLED that first came to the watch and then made its way to the rest of the range, we should see this tech come to the iPhone, the iPad, the Mac, and more in the future. I think the big issue Apple has to overcome first is mass producing micro LED panels that are large enough on the scale Apple needs, since right now it would be way too expensive and difficult to produce. And so yes, it makes sense why Apple's starting with these minuscule watches, and so once they figure that out, they can eventually get around to giving the Pro Max and the Ultra devices in the range gigantic micro LED panels that should be very nice. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and thank you for watching.